Welcome back to the world headquarters of Close Encounter of the Tech Kind. Please join us today. We're going to have a fantastic conversation about a couple topics that are maybe near and dear to our heart, but definitely worth having a conversation about. Today, we're going to dive into a couple things we've talked about in previous episodes. There's a movement in Europe that says, stop killing games. Seems like a worthy adventure. Roblox is also in the news. Speaking of games that are killing, this one's not killing anybody, but they're not killing anything except their reputation. For all you that are parents out there, definitely listen in on that one. And what's our third topic there, Artie?
What?
Oh, well, we got the little update on the Switch 2. We had talked about, I think, a couple episodes ago. It seems like there's been a little bit more. The rumors seem to be true.
We warned everybody we could. People push the limits.
With quite the thumbnail, too.
Yeah. That was a good thumbnail on our side.
That was a good one.
We tried. But before we get into any of those, give everybody a chance to introduce themselves. I'm John, kind of heading up this little band of tech enthusiasts. I think that's what we are. How about you, Mike?
Yeah, I'm Mike. I am just here along for the ride.
Hang on to the bar. It will
That's
get wild. How about you, Jackson?
I'm doing good. I'm an enthusiast of tech, so sure. We can call me that.
Yeah, sure. Okay. I'm very decisive about this moment in time, I think.
I might be enthused. I might not be.
Stay tuned and find out. Artie, are you enthused?
Ecstatic.
Take that as a maybe.
I'm just not feeling well today.
Well, at least you get to keep your hand on the flight stick and keep us in the air. So thank you for that. So let's jump right into this. We talked a couple episodes back on if a company shuts off a game and the servers evaporate, you just spent 60, 70, 80 bucks on a game and it's gone. Played it for a few years, wasn't that fun. Now it's just, yeah, you can't do it anymore.
It's worse when you don't feel like you got your money's worth out of it.
Right?
And then you're like, now you take it away?
Could you imagine spending 70 bucks on a game and then the next day the company announces, oh, just kidding, we're shutting it down?
Sometimes the reason I don't play is because nobody else is playing.
Yeah.
Or I can't connect to the server. There is a game that I was started playing years ago, probably 15 years ago now, maybe even closer to 16. Anyway, even up until just a couple years ago, there seemed to be regular active players on the servers and everything. And it's only been in the last year that now I've just checked and gotten on, and the servers are still up and online, but they're empty. Nobody is playing anymore. And I'm not sure why that is. Like, there's still entertainment value to the game. It's still a fun to play game. Unless you're one of those guys that played it 24/7 and you're just, I'm so sick of this. Well, I don't know, but that's not me. I mean, I only played it occasionally. I still think it's a fun game. So
Recently stayed at a Verbo, and part of the house we were at, the amenities, they had an old school Nintendo.
Oh yeah.
I got to show my kids the original Legend of Zelda. That was cool. it's sad that I probably still remember all those hidden things and where to place the where to place objects and what object you need to buy. And yeah,
That reminds me, the original Lego Star Wars game that you could play on the Wii, and I think it was on the Nintendo DS and all that stuff. It was so funny. Me and a friend were talking about that, remembered about it. And we're like, oh, we should see if we can get it, and bought it for like $10 off of Steam. And yeah, that thing's just so much fun. And he is the same way. He remembered where everything was. It's been like 14 years or however long since we played it as a kid. But yeah, it's so funny to go back through that stuff.
yeah, it's interesting to see all those nostalgic games. We grew up with these; they were a lot of fun. But I think this new movement that is out there, the stop killing games, I think they got the right idea. Like, if you're going to shut it down in a way that preserves what you sold the customer. We bought a game. We bought an experience. We bought that gameplay and that community. Okay, I can understand them taking the community away, but don't take my game away. Or at the very least, give me my money back.
But they've already spent it.
So I don't know. You guys are deep in research thought there, I think.
Yeah, I actually just looked up. I didn't realize that they actually have an online platform, stopkillinggames.com. And they have like a whole mission statement here. So it looks like they're petitioning the UK government, which makes sense, because I think if anyone were to start it, it'd probably be there. I don't think it'd really get anywhere in
UK
the
or
US. The UK.
Okay.
At least they have a petition up. Looks like they've got, I don't know, just under 500,000 signatures to the petition. So looks like they also have an EU petition. I'm not sure. Their website is maybe could use a little bit of design there, but
maybe they heard our podcast and started up this movement. No. I wish we were that influential.
Right? Yeah, it's cool to see that there is actually a platform for that, and it's not just kind of a whisper in the wind of stop killing games. So good on them for kind of organizing that.
I see the perspective of the corporate America and corporate world of shutting off a server that nobody's on. Like, if a server costs me $2,000 a month to keep going and 4 people are playing on it, it's a hard one.
Well, yeah, and I think go ahead, Mike.
Depends on the overhead, though, too. Like, the game in question that I was talking about, like, you have the option in this game, you had the option to actually host your own. You could roll your own servers. So in the list of servers, there's a lot that are the official company sponsored servers, but then there's a bunch of user created ones too, and they're still up too. And I can't imagine, for what the game is, that there really isn't much overhead. It's very likely that a lot of these servers are just a second or third virtual machine, maybe, or something running in the background of some other box that does something more important that pays for its upkeep, and everything like that. So I think it depends on what the actual overhead is and the cost for running that. If it's just piggybacking off of something that's already paid for, you could leave it up indefinitely, as long as you keep it secure and up to date or whatever.
Yeah, I mean, the thing that I really like is when companies, I think, Mike, you said this, but when companies allow users who buy the game to actually host a server. And I mean, then there are some things you got to consider, an upkeep and who's moderating the servers. But I think, just got to put a disclaimer out there. Right. So, yeah, it does get to a certain point when it's really just like what do you call it, a money pit for a company to try and keep supporting and flushing out the bugs. And so I think the best way that I see they do it is a company like, I mean, Mojang, or what is now Minecraft, or it's now Microsoft. And Minecraft, yeah, it's a super easy thing. They give you instructions on how to do it. Hey, here's how you can, host your own server and do it at your own risk. And I mean, so at least I'm confident with the version of Minecraft that is currently out, the one that I have. If Microsoft dies and goes away, I could still, play Minecraft with my friends, or, whatever.
However,
So, I mean, say
with
that again, Artie.
Minecraft, you still need to connect to the Microsoft servers to validate the account.
True.
And that would be what this movement is trying to do, is that if those servers ever go offline, that you don't need to do that step anymore, that the program gets truncated in such a way that it's available for offline play. Because Minecraft, it's a great standalone game, even if you're not playing with other people.
Yeah.
So I can see this turn into a. Go ahead. I got an idea.
Well, I was just
future.
I was going to ask a question then. So, I mean, if you do that, what's keeping, as a company, how do you combat piracy at that point? Because that's what
You
used
don't.
to be, like Quake, and like my dad. I have a copy of Quake 3 that I got from my dad. Right. Now he owns it and he has the key for it. But I mean, nothing's stopping me if I were to just post that online, and everyone could have a copy of Quake 3 and whatever. So how do you combat that then? What is a tactic that doesn't destroy, this movement?
You can't. I mean, if the publisher abandons it and abandons support and abandons the revenue that they're going to get from it, it's abandonware. Like,
Yeah. This is
and in a
not
lot of
for
cases,
this is not for games that are actively being curated. This is or actively being worked on. This is for games that have literally been abandoned by the company. It's like, what is it, Warcraft 3? Warcraft 3, the only reason that that got its update, which was panned by pretty much everyone, was because they did not want it to fall into the abandonware state, because they hadn't updated it or done any revisions to it for something like 15 years.
So I think it comes down to. Go ahead.
So you're saying that, the way it is right now, if you have to authenticate with an account, as long as that company hasn't abandoned it and they're still patching and updating and taking care of it, then you don't care. But it's once they decide that they're going to shut off servers, or they, if they were to get to that point, then your opinion is, if they're going to do that, then they have to remove like that authentication, whatever, and it just becomes
Or not.
a program.
Make it functional for the people that bought the software in the first place.
Yeah.
Set it up so that if I pay $80 for my game, play it for 3 years, server goes offline, or let's say the Wii network,
Okay.
that's dead.
I've got a great example for this. I've got a great example for this real world issue.
Okay.
So there was a game released by Gearbox called Battleborn. Battleborn was very much in the same vein as Overwatch. It's an arena shooter. And that game...
Poor soul played that game.
I'm sorry?
I said the poor souls who torture themselves with games is like that.
It was
in
fun.
my opinion.
So that game, they took off the servers because there was like maximum of 100 people online at a time. So they took the servers down. There was no official patch or any way of playing the game after they took the servers down, because you still needed to authenticate to play the single player version of the game. There is a company, or not a company, a group of people that created an offline patch for that game so that you could still play it because you bought it. You've got the DVD somewhere. And so they created the patch, and it requires the actual game itself in order to function. So you can't, yeah. I'm not feeling
Hmm.
well. My brain just died.
That's right. I'll pick up and run with it. But if you've got abandonware, I think I would be happy if this settled down to we're planning the end of our support of a game, not we're planning the end of your game completely. Respect your customer, respect your audience, respect the fans.
Mm-hmm.
I think we're at a crossroads on this, though, guys. I think. Go ahead.
Something
I
that
hear
just
this.
I was reminded of. So Ubisoft, a lot of their games, even through the official channels on Steam, are unplayable. They're still available. They are still available for purchase, but you install them, you get it ready, you start running it, and you'll get an error. And it's across like some of the Assassin's Creed games, various very big titles. But they're like 15 years old, and Ubisoft has essentially stopped supporting the games even though they're still selling them. And that's another thing that comes in with this.
Yeah, that's just immoral behavior. It's unprofessional. It's counter to respect, right? But I think we're at a place. Let's define this in another way. Subscription versus buying a thing. These games are playing that game of. There's a fun one for you. These games are playing at it with, you've got a buyout, but you got continuing maintenance you have to do on the thing. So let's take Adobe as an example. You used to buy Adobe for $500, $600, whatever it was, and then it's yours. You own it. You type in your key. You can install it on your computer and use it. Doesn't authenticate to servers. Just runs. Adobe continues development. They have to develop the next big thing to make you want to spend another $600 on it to then keep paying their developers to build the next big thing. These games, they built it and they're not working on the next one. Maybe they are, but now they're trying to get into a subscription model, but they can't because you bought the game. They sold you the game. I think if there was a subscription fee that you could charge that would keep the servers up and running. So like here's a wild idea. If Steam was able to absorb those servers and say, all right, we will maintain these bare minimum performance, I'd be happy to pay that monthly fee. Turn into like a Netflix kind of thing. But the developers of these things, they're not making continuing cash, but they're having to continue to service and support. So it makes sense for them to abandon it. I think the method is what's making everybody upset.
Yeah, it's like I see where you're coming from, but at the same time, like one of the biggest things that I'm against though is that subscription for an online game, right? And I think and that's the way it is for a lot of software. I think if I buy a software, I hate having to subscribe to use it, right? And one of the things that I hate a lot is actually is like Xbox and PlayStation. Both of those have, like, I think it's Xbox Live and PlayStation Plus. And without those, you can't play certain games, right? Certain online games, like even games like Minecraft, you can't get to the servers. Even though I can host a server right here on my computer, and then if I have a friend that wants to play from their Xbox or PlayStation, running the same version of the game, it will not allow them to connect to my computer unless they pay for some online subscription thing. And so and I don't know exactly what it's doing behind the scenes and where they're justifying it, but I don't think that they need to. or rather, I don't think that they do because they don't think they need to. But
It's
if it
their
plugs in,
thing. They're licensing it to us. We don't own it.
well, I don't know actually. What is it that they actually own? They don't own my internet connection. Like
But-
with Minecraft, right? If I'm hosting the server myself, they don't have to do anything. The PlayStation already
Minecraft
connects
is-
to the internet.
Minecraft is revocable at some level. If they say
How
you
so?
can't play this anymore, and those mechanisms have to be in there, because if they get sued for copyright infringement, or they ripped off somebody's property, put it in there, they have to be able to pull it down.
I'm not seeing how that connects though to just establishing an internet connection between two IPs. I feel like Sony doesn't have any dog in the fight between my friend who already has it's got a LAN port connected to the internet.
Mhm.
I'm not. Yeah, that's where I don't understand why they
I don't
wouldn't
know. I want to
restrict
say
that
this has been
access.
going on for a while. That I want to say that back in the day, that you remember shareware games. I mean, they're still kind of a thing, actually, a little bit. But shareware games,
Quake.
some of those had the ability to play not necessarily over a network, but maybe over the modem as like a two-player thing. And the free shareware version didn't have that functionality. Like if you wanted to be able to play over the modem with somebody else, you had to purchase the full version of the software to get that functionality. I can't think of any examples right off the top of my head, but I seem to remember that there were some games that I had downloaded that was the case. And even after broadband internet became a thing, that still seems like I've seen games where it's like if you want to play multiplayer over the internet, you got to have the full version and buy a complete license. And there was ways of detecting, because each of those client applications, they would talk to each other and say, well, what version are you? Well, I'm the free version. Oh, well, can't play with you. You're free, and then terminate the connection or whatever.
Kicked off the playground.
So I want to say that this has actually been a thing for quite a while, and it's just a more sophisticated way of doing it. Also, Jackson, getting back to the thing about licensing, if we go back to the Adobe example that John and I were talking about this a little earlier today, but Creative Suite 6, I think it was the last box package version of software in a box that you purchased off the shelf and you installed on your computer. But yeah, it's licensed. You own the license, and you read the licensing agreement. You own a license, even though you have this big box with all these install discs or whatever it came on in the box.
I correct you. You don't own the license.
You've been given a license to use it, and you have to agree to the terms of that license. That means that you can install it on your computer. You might be able to install it on another computer in your home, as long as you're not running a copy on both computers at the same time on the same network. And so the whole subscription thing is a little ridiculous to me, because as a user of Adobe in my life, that I like the idea that I can buy Photoshop or InDesign or Illustrator or whatever titles I need and be able to just use it. And I am good enough with the software that I can use the basic functionality. I don't need to upgrade it every 2 months for the latest features and latest updates and everything like that. I can do just as well with Photoshop, probably Photoshop version 6, which is a lot different than Creative Suite 6. But I can do just as well Photoshop version 6 or version 7 as I could with the latest editions of Photoshop. Now, I know these days a lot of it is they've got a lot of AI tools and other things that they're putting in there now. Whether I would use that, I don't know.
Oh,
But
I agree
what I
with you,
do,
Mike.
I don't need to pay whatever it is, $20 a month, let's say it is, that's $240 a year. I don't need to pay that every year just to be able to do the same thing I've been doing for the last 20 years. You know?
And I agree with you on what you were saying. Like, yeah, they've been doing this for a long time, but I think what's different is with the shareware, what you were talking about before, right? You had to pay to get the full version, but it wasn't a subscription, right? It was just a one-time purchase.
Yeah, it's a one-time purchase, and then you could use it.
So that for me makes total sense, right? You know, if I am the developer of a piece of software, the way I hook people is I release a free version without all the features. I say, okay, you want to benefit from all the hard work I put into programming this, then you know what, pay me some money and I'll let you, you know, use the rest of the features, whether that's connecting to the internet or not, right? That's a piece of software. What I really don't like about things like the consoles doing this, paying for this online play, is that it already connects to the internet. That's what I bought it for. It's a device, right? That device has that capability. And there's nothing that they're doing. They're not updating my internet connectivity or anything every month. It's literally just a gatekeeper. So that's where I think there's a difference. And I agree with you on Adobe as well, right? I ought to be able to pay for a version, right, outright, and just say, I just want this version. I'll pay for it. And if I want the newest one, I'll buy it again, you know, in a year or two. But they don't give you that option.
Does that? A lot of software does that.
Really?
Like you pay a real heavy price for the buyout, or you can pay a low subscription.
I mean, I haven't seen it. Do you have an example? I'd like to know. Does Adobe allow you to do that anymore?
Actually, we've got a great one. We're looking at upgrading our podcast software, the system generating this show. Artie, what'd you find?
Well, I found the software that we're looking at. It's got a $50 a month subscription fee, or you get a buyout at one of 4 levels, and each level has different basic utilities that you can use with it, like multiple cameras in, multiple sounds out, that kind of stuff. And of course, the cheaper ones, you don't get as much. So what we found, or what I found, is that for 2 years worth of the subscription, you can get a buyout of the top package. And in that package, you only get $1,200. Yes.
Yeah. So it's a 2-year buy it once and move forward, thinking that you're going to lose interest in that version and you're going to move to the new version.
Yeah.
Or so you don't get. Do you get any updates? Do they give you bug fixes at least?
You
stuff
get
like that?
12 months worth of updates for the $1,200, but with the $50 subscription, you get constant updates whenever there's something new that comes out.
Yeah, I mean, sure. I love that. At least there's the option, right? I love that they're at least giving you the option of, here, you can either purchase the software and, you know, we'll support it for a year, or you can just subscribe and you don't have to worry about it. I'm totally fine with that. That's great. I think that's where, I think going back to, you know, Stop Killing Games, I think that's on the same lines, right? Let us own what we buy.
It's like buying a CD, that like original run of StarCraft, where you get the CD key with it. And you know, if you got a hold of an illegitimate copy, and you put in the CD key that was on that, you wouldn't be able to connect to BattleNet, because it would basically blacklist you, because you're using the key that like 10,000 other people who had that same disc were using. So from my understanding, it did not nuke the copy. It just said, hey, maybe consider going out and getting a copy of this game legitimately, so you can play online with your friends. So
software piracy was a pretty hard thing a while back. Once the online servers turned into a real actual thing, it was revolutionary because now a software publisher could ensure that all the users are paying for their share. Before that, here's an example. Quake. The original version of Quake, you could buy the shareware disc that had a full copy of the game on it. Mike, you remember that one? You buy the disc for $5, and then you call up the publisher, and for the life of me, I don't remember who it is off the top of my head.
ID Software.
Call the publisher, give them $60, and they'll unlock the whole game.
Mm-hmm.
The unlock was just a little 20-digit key. You type it in, and boom, you have an unlocked copy of the entire Quake game. So for $5 and a little bit of friendship on the internet to your hacker buddies, you've got a game. I thought it was a brilliant move because the people that are going to download your game anyways and pirate it, now they're paying you $5.
Yeah. It's the same idea as Radiohead. Back in the day, they were kind of the first people to release an album for free. And they said, it was in rainbows. They released that and they put it out online and they said, okay, here's the album. And if you'd like, pay us what you think it's worth. And so instead of, putting out just like any other album with a price and then, people pirating it, people could pay what they wanted to pay, right? Because I think most people are, if we're looking at the piracy world, right? Most of those people, they are willing to pay a certain price, but they don't want to pay full price, right? Nobody ever wants to pay full price for anything.
No, they do. There was actually a study, and it was well fought against. MP3s, people that download MP3s were told to be absolute criminals. Well, after doing some surveys with anonymity and promises of no prosecution, the biggest pirators were also the biggest purchasers of music.
And they recently did another
right?
study along those lines trying to discredit the previous one, and it came up with the same results. The people that consume the media like that are more likely to go out and buy it than those that don't.
So
we're as a society, we are willing to pay full price for quality merchandise, for a quality product.
But I don't see why I'd have to pay a subscription for my hammer or my wrench.
Give it time.
That's the
coming.
thing, is that
you get them from
I've had the
AutoZone,
same hammer that I've used for 20 years, and it works just fine. I take care of it. I don't abuse it, so it doesn't break or anything like
Just don't
that.
stop paying.
And
Don't stop paying the subscription payments. The hammer will stop working.
that's exactly what it seems like, is that a lot of software, whether it's a game or it's a tool, most software is a tool, and I don't pay a subscription on my tools in my toolbox for essentially like upgrades. Like, oh great, it's the same tool, it's just not as scratched, or something. Like, that's what the thing that gives me is that I don't personally know enough people, I think, to know who the power users of a lot of software are, that really go all out and push the software to its complete potential using all the features. I don't know anybody I don't know anybody who does that in Excel or Word or Photoshop or anything. They use the tool for the basic functionality of using the tool, and they get creative with it, and there you go.
That's where I'm at with the serviceability of the thing. So I'll argue that Excel and Word have been brought to their pinnacle. There's nothing you can add to Excel to make it awesome. It's already there.
Or AI.
Word. It's a word processor. There's nothing you could add to a word processor to make it better. Yeah, we got AI. Good point.
They tried, and they made it worse.
Yeah. So I think there's two categories of stuff. There's the stuff that you're one and done. You programmed it. It does its job. It's your tool. It works great. Like Wireshark or any of those drivers for your hardware. You buy it, it works.
It's not very common with
I got to
tech.
continue. Well, if you got to continually maintain it, like if we had to have a staff of people to maintain drivers for the next generation of printers going into the next generation of operating system. Okay, now there's some servicing costs there. I can get behind a subscription for that, so long as that was what was sold to me in the first place.
Mm-hmm.
If I buy a printer for $200, I don't want to put it on a subscription base. If I buy a printer for $20 a month, okay, I got a printer for $20 a month. Now I've agreed to that. But it shouldn't be both.
But they should be shipping me the consumables every 2 or 3 months or whatever it is.
HP's doing that. I don't know if you guys heard about that one. Your HP printer can be subscribed to, and it flips a switch on the inside where it causes the printer to report everything back to HP. They'll send you ink. They won't send you paper, but they'll send you ink. If you ever stop paying, your printer stops working.
Oh, I cannot tell you how much hate.
Yeah.
I feel like, it's it's not the printer's
Right?
fault. It's not the printer's fault. It's HP. I feel like we abuse printers so much because they never work, but it's not their fault. It's their developers.
We abuse them because they never work. I love
It's like, poor guy is trying his best. No, he's not. I love the
It's a
love the little-
conspiracy to just get us to go completely paperless. I think that's what it is.
I was at a school one time. The printer's name was Bob Marley. Because it
Why?
always be jamming.
Uh,
Oh, I thought you were gonna make a different joke. That's good though.
I also love the ones. I was at another school where they had a printout. It was an entire black block, but in the center in small letters says, "Don't waste toner."
Oh no, I love that little internet joke where it's like, there's a tech I don't remember what the right delimiter was, but it was like tech enthusiasts and like, oh man, I have a smart home, I have a smart toaster, I have a smart fridge, everything's smart in my home. And then it's like people who actually work in tech and it's like the only thing I have that connects to the internet is a printer, and I keep a loaded gun next to it in case it makes a weird noise.
yeah.
So, one
Well,
thing
not
comes
too
to
close
mind.
to it. The printer might reach out and get the gun.
Right.
One thing that comes to mind, I cannot say in the original wording, so I will change it a bit. But it was a classified ad, somebody selling something for sale. Effing printer.
Yeah. Yep.
Sounds accurate.
Oh. Well, I think we talked about this right before, but I think we should hit it before we move on past this stuff. But an update for the Switch 2, right? So
Yeah, let's jump into that.
we rang the warning bell a few weeks ago that the Switch 2, and it wasn't just us. A lot of people were saying, hey, they updated their terms of service. That they were basically going to allow themselves to brick your Switch if you if you were doing something they didn't like. And this was in efforts to stop piracy. And Nintendo's been on top of this for last few years. We talked about Yuzu getting shut down. I think there's also like Dolphin and all these other that were emulators for the Switch, the Wii, all of the Nintendo consoles. So on the tail end of this, they changed their terms of service, and it was of all the terms of services I think we've seen, that one was pretty explicitly, like, they weren't trying to hide that they were going to do this. They're like, yeah, we will totally brick your console if you do something we don't like. I think that's what got such big backlash out of it. Because I think when we went over, the other EULA that comes to mind that we've talked about was, Firefox. it was kind of like inadvertent. It looked like, well, we might use your data for something, or it might be this, but no, Nintendo was pretty direct. We're like, yeah, you try and pirate games or whatever, do something that we think you might be doing, then yeah, we'll shut you off, cut you off from the online services. We might even permanently disable your actual device. So, with all of that said, we've been getting reports. This comes from Ars Technica. Wow, that was I feel like I'm dyslexic there for a
Almost
second.
made it.
Second. Uh, they've gotten reports that people, especially using what's called MIG Flash, which is essentially like a cartridge that you can program, put a game onto, right? Which is legitimate. You can do if you own the game, you're allowed to do this.
No, that's not black and white.
Yeah, so it's not black and white anymore, or well, I guess it never was.
Well,
But
Nintendo says you're not allowed to back up your game.
well, there you go. But people that have been doing this, that make a backup of their game, they've been reporting that their Switch 2 is now no longer usable, or at least that they can't connect to the Nintendo services anymore.
Mm-hmm. Well, that comes down to they're trying to fight piracy as hard as they possibly can, and they're going to find out that you annoy your users enough, they're going to find alternatives like the Steam Deck, or gosh, there's a couple others coming out here soon. So the Switch is revolutionary. It's a fantastic tool. It's got Nintendo's intellectual property, but you punish your users enough and they will switch to alternate methods of playing what they want.
No pun intended.
Again, I don't want to use the big P word here, because we'll find alternate copies of the data and put it on different systems. Because that's what you do. You bought the game. Nintendo bricks your device. What do? You bought it. They're not giving your money back. They just turned off your console. I would morally feel well justified in playing the game that I bought on a different system. Now, I'm not advocating for doing that, but I'm saying morally, not legally, morally, I would feel justified. But I want to see these lawsuits come through.
Yeah.
There was probably no warning on that system saying, hey, you're using something we don't approve of. This is your last warning.
Yeah, it looks like a couple of reports were I had only backed up games that I own, and I mean this is something that they've been doing since the Switch 1. And yeah, no warning. One day it was just their games were banned, so they tried to connect to the internet. They said the loading, like the title screen, would flash from a game, and then it just never loads because it had been banned. And I don't know if there's any recourse for this. Like, what if you've been wrongly banned, and then what? I mean, you've just lost your, I don't know, how expensive was it? $400 in the hole or whatever.
$550.
$550 in the hole. There you go.
Plus the game.
Plus the MIG Flash.
Plus all your games.
Yeah, everything. Nothing would load from them anymore.
I don't know if they're going to just brick the system. They might brick all the games that are attached to your account.
Yeah, it seemed like it was all of their games. Although this person had also said that they had backups of their games, so not sure.
It's such a cat and mouse. I mean, have you seen those anti-cheats that they're using in games so that you can't like auto aim your mouse and get better shots and better averages in your games? Have you seen those?
I'm aware of them, yeah.
So there's software that runs on your PC now that detects if you're running cheating software.
Mm-hmm.
Which, hey, why not? Let's do that. There's now a manufacturer making a monitor that has the cheat built in. Totally bypasses absolutely everything the computer has to process.
Oh
It's
my
just taking the
gosh.
output device and then helping the user aim. The one use case that I saw, the little map down in the little corner for the on the screen, you get a little map and you got a heat map here and you got all the dots showing your enemies.
Sure.
It would then on your monitor show the building and show an overlay of like a red dot where the person you're going after is at.
Oh my goodness. They just ruined the fun. That's not part of the fun of the game.
Right? I mean, you ruin the
That's-
spirit of the fun. And
Well, I
I'm all
think
for
it
the
was-
anti-cheats in that scenario, because if they're cheating, why can't I have the cheat? Let's play together on the same level.
Well, I think it was Call of Duty, the developers of Call of Duty that had done that, where they had an anti-cheat. If they discovered that you were cheating, then you would just be stuck in a lobby with other cheaters. So,
Nope.
you wouldn't. They would at least separate you from those who were actually trying to play the game as it was designed. And they're like,
And-
yeah, if you want to cheat, go play with some other cheaters.
Create a server where,
respect
all right,
that.
fine, anything goes on this server. You want to
Yeah.
cheat?
I
Fine, cheat. But
respect
so
that.
can he. Who can use the best cheats?
Right.
This
Like
is
the
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 anarchy
anything goes-
version.
the anything goes Minecraft servers.
Yeah.
When everyone's super, no one is.
Well, that's probably the biggest downfall of music industry back when the CD piracy became a thing. They started suing customers.
Why does that sound so funny?
It's one of those, like, when you sit back and think about it, like, okay, we're gonna go sue the people that are buying, that are our consumers. Okay, where did that make sense?
I mean, yeah, if you go back to what you were saying earlier, if the pirates are the ones who are actually paying for it, then why are you hurting the pirates?
What's funny though is that was not as bad of a PR as Sony did when they started having DRM rootkits install from audio media onto your hard drive without your knowledge.
Yeah, we
We
talked
mentioned
about that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting the lengths that these companies will go to. But let's go on the other side. I want to jump into the last story that I want to get your guys' thoughts on. Mike, you didn't know what Roblox was before we started in the pre-show on this, right?
I know what Roblox is. I didn't know about this topic that you're going to bring up. I hadn't heard about it yet.
How would you even
Yes.
categorize Roblox as a game? What would you even? I've never played it. I don't know.
It's a game manufacturing platform.
Mhm.
You create
Think of like
games-
Minecraft,
Yeah.
that is more basic. If
And more
if
round.
Minecraft was Legos, these are wooden blocks.
Some of the games
Lincoln
that
Logs?
I know of that have been made on there are like Call of Duty clones that function exactly the same as Call of Duty.
Really? Wow.
You can use that engine to do phenomenal things. My kids would play like on parkour courses. Another fun one that I don't know why, for the life of me, I don't get the appeal. But there was a pizza game where you work in a pizza store and you make pizzas and you sell pizzas, and that's the game. Oh, and you can deliver pizzas, and then you have a house, and you can deck out your house with the money you make when you're making the pizzas, and
Isn't it like
I spent hours.
is it like a time
hours doing that.
management or resource
No.
management kind of game? No, it's just
No.
make pizzas and
No,
oh,
One
wow.
of the big ones right now is apparently grow a garden, and you just
Mhm.
you get seeds, you plant them, and then they grow, and you harvest, and you get seeds, you plant, they grow. Yeah, it's
Watch
just
No, just go outside. Just do it outside. Go outside.
Yeah, wasn't there something like that on Facebook years ago called, what was it, Farmville? That was like
Farmville, and
you
before
would-
when I
that,
was
it was
first on
Gigapets.
Facebook, that's what everybody else was on because I kept seeing like, yeah, I want to connect with my friends and everything on Facebook. This is cool. And all I got from a bunch of my friends were, I reached level 15 in Farmville. Here, I'd like to share my chickens with you, or whatever it was. I don't know, but I was like,
Farmville
no, I
clout.
don't play that. Like, I'll go grow my own farm. Like, for real. Like,
Oh, side note, guys, I don't know if you remember back in those days, there was those surveys saying, what town did you grow up in? What was your first
Mhm.
car? What was your elementary school like?
it's all
And
the
people would
hacking.
answer those.
Yeah.
Yeah, those answers are still out in the dark web right now.
Mm.
Nobody was paranoid back then.
Password harvesting.
Yep. But I digress.
So
Anyway, so Roblox. So what's the big deal about Roblox now?
well, using the
So-
correlation with Facebook. See, Facebook, they put in guardrails to protect their users, and it's
Mhm.
to protect anybody
Roblox.
that's certain age or anything like that. You say something wrong on Facebook, and you will get reviewed because it gets hit by the algorithm.
Mhm.
Roblox,
You get your hand
not so
slapped.
much.
Really?
Roblox is dark. There's underground labor camps,
Cool.
literal slavery.
Wait,
It's
what?
it's frightening. So you can get Robux, right?
Yeah.
So if you are creative enough, social engineering style, to manipulate a bunch of 7 and 8-year-old kids into doing work to get Robux, you can say the right thing, you can encourage them, you can twist them and emotionally extort them. There's groups of thousands of literal slaves doing a thing in games to make Robux.
Hmm.
That's ridiculous.
It's huge.
And
That's crazy.
Robux
And the
is just
company
like
doesn't care.
10,000 for a penny or something like that, but the reverse is just was like $20 to buy 2,000 or so. But then if you want to get paid out, it's like dramatically inversed.
Yeah, so
Oh
the
wait, these
current
people are
issue-
actually making money off of this?
yes.
Yeah.
Like real US dollars.
Yes.
So this reminds me of, there was
This isn't
another
the worst,
virtual
guys.
reality platform. There was it called Second Life, I think it was, that
Still
they
around.
had their own in-game currency, and there was an exchange rate, an active exchange rate on US dollars to whatever the in-game currency was. And I remember I looked at Second Life when it was kind of new and first came out, like, this is it. I just explored a little bit, but then I saw like people had figured out how to make like little like jackpot machines, little gambling machines, right? And so you put your coins in, your in-game currency in, for the chance that you might win something else. And because they owned these units, they're literally making money off of just people gambling. I'm just like, how does this work, like, legal wise, in the fact that it's not the game developer that made the gambling, but it's the participants that then created the thing, and it's just
It
like,
didn't work. It did not survive legal.
yeah.
You could actually buy a Dell computer in Second Life.
Yeah.
They had a Dell store.
I do remember that for a little bit, that it was like a way that they're trying to attract like literal virtual businesses to come on, and like when you went shopping in the game, you were essentially shopping in real life.
Put your avatar in there and try on different outfits.
Yeah.
Hit the buy button, and the outfit ships to your house.
Mhm.
Cool idea.
So
What?
just so I can understand how this mechanism works. And yeah, if it
Lost
works
track.
as how you're saying, it's literal. No, it's literal slavery. What you're saying, which is crazy. So you have players of the game who are doing whatever in game, and then they give their wages to their in-game employer, who is then selling that at like a lower rate than what Roblox sells the in-game currency of.
So
No, they're just making millions and millions and millions of Robux.
Well,
You
is
know,
it
they want with it.
Essentially, the kids are being used to program games that are going to be put out there and mass produced for, like a chance of being associated with this big developer or something like that. Or you can use this later on. It's like paying for exposure type stuff.
Yeah.
And
But guys, this isn't the worst.
no, it's not.
We've got just a little bit of time left in our podcast, and I want to make sure everybody's aware of this. Do homework on Roblox, and Robux if you're a parent, or if you know somebody that's a parent, or if you've got an office with parents as coworkers. If you've got nieces, nephews, little ones that play Roblox, got to know about this. So, as with the internet, everything has a level of depravity to it. And it's just a matter of how does a community keep the people safe from getting too depraved. Roblox doesn't do any blocks. There's no sanctions. There's no kicking off the platform. There's no protecting the children. That's my problem. There's a guy that now, for legal purposes, I have got to say, this is our research. You got to do your own. I'm not accusing anybody of anything illegal. I'm suggesting that this needs to be investigated. And if you're a parent, be very aware that this type of thing is going on and validate it for yourself. So that you've been warned. Viewer discretion advised. But there's nightclubs in Roblox. There's a creator that created some nightclubs where people go in and do adult things.
I believe
that's
the
all
term
video game.
I believe the term, if you're going to be looking for it, is condo.
Yeah. So P. Diddy is in trouble for doing the same kinds of things right now. I'll just leave that as what the activities are. Just be aware. But there's an event coming up. What do they call it? The Hatch?
The Hatch,
in
yeah.
Roblox? A couple weeks from now. It's a big event. Everybody's invited. And the problem that I've got with this is one of the creators of these events has been invited and encouraged to produce content for the Hatch.
He has since been removed, and Roblox did say, "Oh well, we've taken care of his account." Basically saying that they banned him. His account is still active as of yesterday. So, yeah.
So we're going to be very cautious. I don't want to call him out because I don't want the legal repercussions of that, guys. I just do your own research. But the fact that there's no guardrails in the system, the chat is unregulated, uncensored, unmonitored. This company makes billions of dollars. And they're not putting any safeties in there for any of the basic stuff.
Which, and it's ridiculous that that's the case because they are a children's game, are they not? What's their average age group? I mean,
they're not marketed at children, but it's basically children.
A lot of kids I know about Roblox. Everybody that's even mentioned it to me has all been younger than me. Like,
Under
oh,
15?
I play Roblox, and I've seen that there've been some people that have had some good experiences with it. I'm not saying that Roblox is all bad, but for me and my family, we've taken the stance that let's just not go there. Do what you want, do your own research. We've decided that it wasn't for our kids. Like we already have enough problems as it is with just with electronics and media in general. So we didn't want to throw another thing into the mix that we were gonna have to worry about. But we've basically told our kids that Roblox is off limits.
So,
and I don't want to get too dark on this, but there are actual predators on there looking for vulnerable children.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
and the chat is unmonitored.
Mm-hmm.
So, something that I'd also like to bring
spread the word, guys.
A YouTuber went in and did a in-depth investigation about 4 years ago into this issue, and it's still an issue 4 years later.
Well, they solved that issue. Roblox solved that issue by copyright striking the YouTuber.
And the response was to make another video.
Mm-hmm. I don't want to get copyright strike, guys. But I definitely want to make sure everybody listening to this shares this message with everybody they know. Watch out for Roblox. It's not for children.
Yeah.
Kids play it, but oh my goodness.
Yeah, it looked like the majority of their player base are under the age of 15.
Yep. Yeah, it's not marketed towards that. The users just happen to be that. It's the whole if you build it, they will come kind of thing. And they didn't realize it was going to be popular with kids like it is now. That farming game has had 9 billion used. It's like 9 billion sessions of farming.
That's crazy. Teach kids to go farm in real life.
If we could only farm like that in real life, end world hunger, right?
Yeah.
Here's an idea. Parents, if your kids are playing Roblox and you're okay with that, maybe
Make your garden.
maybe instead, because it seems like all they're doing on there is like real life tasks. Just have them clean the house or teach them how to grow a garden, honestly.
Or, sit down and watch them for a little bit and make sure that they're not interacting with any of these illicit games.
Just read the chat, guys. Share the message. Read the chats. Kids are sneaky. They'll try and hide it. But I think I don't want to harp on it too hard, but definitely share this podcast out to anybody that might need that. Definitely want to make sure everybody's aware what's going on, how bad it could get. I'm not saying it is bad. I'm saying it could. Vigilance will keep you safe. Keep your eyes open. Stay tuned, because this podcast, we're just going to keep talking about this stuff with ourselves, and we want you to participate. If you found what you heard today insightful, interesting, or you want to hear what's next, hit subscribe. Pressing the like button would be awesome too. Let us know that this podcast is enjoyed. But until next time, I'm John.
I'm Mike.
I'm Jackson.
I'm going to uninstall some games.
It's a good idea. We'll see everybody next time.